Hey everybody, first off I want to thank you all who supported me in my last couple of videos by going to my store and picking up a few things. Every little bit helps, so thank you so much. It makes it possible for me to take a little time off to continue making videos for you guys. So in this video I'm going to show you how I built this cool little piano box. This video, which is one of two, will be focusing on making perfect miters and runners, and the second part will be making the lids, the legs, and the partitions. So let's get into this. So the first thing we want to do is we're going to mark out where we're going to mill our wood. So our bottom box is the biggest, so it's 10 by 5.5, so that's 15.5. I'll round it off to 16. I always give myself 2 inches, okay? So that'll be 18 inches. So I'm going to chop this off. This will be my bottom box, and then the top box is a little bit narrower. A little bit smaller too, so that should accommodate for that too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to resaw this. Hopefully I can get 3/8 out of each the piece. So this way I'm going to make the what do you call it, chasing the grain. And then for the lid, the lids are 12 inches long, so I'm going to make them 14. So 14 is right about here. Here's my top lid, and I'm going to resaw that. And this might be enough for some for the legs. And then we're going to have to mill some pieces for the bottom, which is also 10, 12. Let's go 14. Let's go a little bit longer, right there. 13. That's fine. Okay, so this will be for the bottom. This will be for the top, for the lids. And this will be for the body, or also the box. So these are all the pieces that I got milled for the box. This is for the bottom box, the bigger one. This is for the top box. This is for my lid. These are all milled to 3/8. And these are 1/8 of an inch thick. These are for my bottoms of the boxes and also the runners too. So I am going to work with the big box first. So as you can see, I marked these lines here so that it shows me that this is how I resaw. So this is the perfect book match. So if I want to chase the grain, which means I want the grain to follow the box all the way around, what I want to do is I want to put this is the closest thing to each other. So I want these to be on the outside because the grain matches better on the outside. Because if I go like this, it matches a lot better than if I go like that. So, okay, this is the resaw. This is the closest thing to each other, like this. So now I am going to mark out, let's see, I like the grain running this way or this way. Okay, I think I like this way, okay. So I will be marking out, this will be my front. We'll call this the A, and this will be my side. We'll call this the A. So this is the front, and this is the side. So now this will be my front. We call this B, and this will be my side. Call this B. So it will be like this. And then when it comes around, it will be like this. So it was called chasing the grain. Okay, so my final width is going to be 2 3/8. This is a little bit bigger, so when I cut my 45, there might be a little bit tear out. I'll come back and I'll clean it up then. So my front is going to be measuring 10 inches long, and then the side is going to be 5.5 inches. So this will be 10, and this will be 5.5, because this is the front and this is the side. So I have to start in the same place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line these up, And I'm just going to use a reference mark right about here. I'm going to go with that. So I know that this line, this is the side, so I'm going to cut this at an angle like this so you can see it. And then 5.5 inches, I'm going to cut an angle like this. And then for the 10 inches, this is going to be angle, it's going to be like this. So I'm going to be losing about 1/8 of an inch saw curve here. So from here, I have to measure about 10 inches. So these are my sacrificial fence. This gives me a 0 clearance when I'm cutting. I'm just going to clamp this down. I'm going to push this down to hold this piece in place. This is really not going anywhere. It doesn't move. So my first cut, I have my pencil line drawn out right here. So I'm going to make my first cut, see where my saw curve is, and I can just line it up with that for the time being. Okay, so this is the side, this is 5.5. So I have my line right here. I don't know if you can see that. So since this is already cut, what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure this one out. Now I know from here to here, the side is 5.5, and this one goes down this way, and then I have a saw curve and goes this way. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to measure 5.5 plus 10 is 15.5, which is here, plus the saw curve, and then I'm going to give myself maybe let's give myself 1/8 of an inch, okay? A little bit longer. So now I am going to bring this one up. Just going to bring the line up. Like that. So now I can put this one back to back. This one's going to be right there on where the line is. And so now here, where it's going to end, it's right here. So I'm going to cut this one next, because this is going to be my side also. So I'm going to line this up the same way. With both sides cut with that angle, I'm going to set a stop. Okay, so from here, I'm just going to measure out 5.5 inches. I only need to mark one of them because I am going to transfer. So now I am going to go 45. So put this right there, like that. So I'm going to line my line right up to the saw curve. Now this could be 5.5, give or take a few thousandths, no big deal. Now I'm going to set up the stop, take this off. So with the sides already cut, we're going to now worry about the front. So because this is cut at an angle, we have to go to the opposite angle like this. So I have to take the stop off. And I am going to put this where the saw curve is right up to the edge there. So we want to make sure we check our edges, that's right to the point. So both of these I pretty much got it right to the point. So I'm going to measure up 10 inches and I'm going to mark that approximately right here. So I am going to transfer the line over, and then 45, give or take, like that. Okay, so now I am going to line this up to the saw curve. Then I'm going to set my stop. So on my piece of cut, remember the front, this side goes here, and the here goes like this. So I always want to do a dry fit. Now I'm going to tape it up and make sure everything is, my joints are nice and tight, just like that, okay? Even though the blades are pretty sharp, I don't know if you can see this tiny, tiny bit that chipped out. Now I can cut it to width. Okay, so I don't know if you can see this, but here's how the grain from front B to the side B. And then see how the grain follows? It's called chasing the grain. And then on this side, and I don't know if you can see it on this side. So with the box all taped up nice and tight, I want to take the inside measurement because the box on top is going to be 9 1/4 in length. So I want the inside measurement here to be a little bit bigger than that. So by taking this measurement, you can see that it's actually 9 1/4 plus the 30 seconds. That's perfect. It gives the box on top a little bit of room to play, and then also has room to slide back and forth. So we're going to do the same drill as we did on this one here. This is the book match. So I'm going to put this one out this way. I'm going to draw a reference mark. Again, this is my front A, front side, front side. So for the size, the length of that is 3 inches. So let's mark that. Now this is only 3 inches, and for my hand to be this close, maybe not. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get a piece of wood, I'm just going to hold it down like this. So I got this marked out to 9 1/4, lined it right up there, set my stop. Now with the two boxes all taped up nice and tight, I just want to dry fit, make sure that it just drops right in there like so. That's perfect. It had a little bit of tape here too, so that's what I want. So you want to examine your box, make sure all the corners is clean. Like this one has a little bit of chip out on this side, so I'm going to remove everything on this side. So I chalked out the side that I'll be removing, so that this way I don't get misoriented. I don't want to cut the wrong side. So everything's here. So I taped it back up again, make sure all the grain is running the same way. This is the top, these are the top, and I have one flipped upside down. So once I have everything the way I want it, now I'm going to route a groove from the bottom. So I want to put a chalk mark on here because when I take everything apart, I don't want to kind of get misoriented and route the wrong place. Now I'm going to take it apart. I'm going to put a groove in the bottom. I'm going to be using, now you can use a table saw or you can use a router. I am going to use a router. All right, so everything's all marked out, ready to route. I have an 1/8 inch spiral bit in here. The depth of cut is just basically half the thickness of my pieces here. This is 3/8, so I raised it up about 3/16, and it's 3/8 from the bottom. So there's I just moved it up 1/8 of an inch. The bit is by white side. It's a RU 1600. You can get that on my website. And I just feel safer routing on the router table than a table saw because I want to protect my edges. If I had a push stick on my edges here and push it through a table saw, I could kind of bruise it a little bit. So anyways, here we go. So the top box is pretty much ready to go. I can glue it up now, but I'm going to wait till I route for the runners on the bottom box because the runner has to go alongside here so that this box can sit on top of that and go back and forth. So the runners will be 3/16 from the top. So the runner on the sides, I just route all the way across. But for the front and back, I only need to go a 1/4 inch in. So I'm going to make it flush here and then just measure 1/4 inch over. So to route the 1/4 of an inch here, I just set up a stop. So this is a 1/4. The distance here is 3/8 because it's a 45. So I set this up to about 5/8. Now to route this side, I have to move the fence back because I have to route this way. I cannot have to stop over here and route this way because the router this will actually be climb cutting. Because the router is spinning this way, the second it grabs the wood, it's going to throw it out this way. But so it has to come this way. Because the router is spinning this way, it's going to grab the wood, it's going to throw it up against the fence. That's what you want. So what I did was I just took a piece of wood, a scrap wood, I made a cut. I definitely want to make sure that it lines up, this cut lines up over here. So you just put it up against the flush like that and it lines up. So to make the runners, I have an 1/8 inch board here. I'm just going to round it over 1/16 of an inch on each side on the router table. So this is how it's supposed to look like with the runners in here. And then this little box just goes on top and just slides back and forth. So when this is glued up, you always want to check for square. I just put my ruler across like that, make sure that it's the same. All right, so let's see how the joints turned out. Ooh, that's not bad at all. Take a look at that. So this is end of part 1. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in part 2.